the largest in-person athletic charitable event in Canada. Cancer is Canada's leading cause of death, but there's hope. The only way to change the numbers is through research. And the Princess Margaret is one of the top 5 cancer research centers in the world. I want to thank you for making the ride your home this weekend and in your hearts.
With your donations, we have raised $16.37 million.
Riders, ready, set, ride!
Cancer research that Princess Margaret is doing is world class, and it is critical, and it makes a difference.
Thanks guys so much. Welcome to camp, everyone.
We want to find cancers while they're still curable. We want to eradicate advanced cancer, and we can do that due to new technology developed in Princess Margaret.
Since I was 8 years old, kids do not lose their leg anymore. Kids can walk out of the hospital.
Margaret.
Hey riders, Steve Merker, Chief Cycling Officer of the Ride to Conquer Cancer. I'm standing here at the 15th annual event. Next year in June is the 60th annual. We need you back more than ever before. This year was our comeback year, raising $16.37 million. We want to break that record, and we need you to join us in 2023. See you there.
Hey riders, Steve Merker here, the chief bike guy at the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation. Man, I loved watching that video, brought back some great memories from last summer doing the first in-person ride in over 2 years. That was just some great memories. Thank you for taking the time out tonight to watch our orientation video. It's geared mostly towards the new riders that we have in our peloton. And maybe if you're on YouTube or Facebook, make sure you post in the chat. Let us know how many years you've been riding, or if you're a brand new rider. We want to know who you are and what your experience level is. I want to thank all of you for taking on the dual challenge of riding your bicycle over 200 kilometers if you're doing the classic ride. If you're doing the hammer ride, you're going even further. Some people are doing the one-day ride, but for the most part, over 200 kilometers and raising over $2,500 if you're doing the classic route. And we want to thank you from all of us here at the Princess Margaret Foundation and all the folks at the Princess Margaret Cancer Center who's benefiting from this ride. Thank you for doing this awesome challenge. Let's go to the next slide there, Bass. Talking about Bass, I wanted to introduce the Ride to Conquer Cancer elite team of experts. So there's me looking kind of funny with my ride cap on. New to the team, like literally 12 days in, is Ryan Bailey. So he's our AVP of the Ride to Conquer Cancer. Now, Ryan actually worked for the foundation back in 2007 and 2008, and maybe even a little bit into 2009. So he was around at the very beginning when we launched the Ride to Conquer Cancer. He's done the ride, and he just came back, joined us from Scarborough Health Network, and super happy to have Ryan lead the team here on the ride. Bass, you're going to hear from most people on the team today and tonight. Bass is working the slides. He's our manager of operations. We have Noor. If you're a team captain, you'll probably be getting wonderful emails from Noor on a weekly basis. And then we have our event participant coordinators, including Sid, Candice, Stephen, and Sarah. And then Alyssa is our event coordinator. And actually, Alyssa and Sid, they were up at KPMG today doing a presentation, getting that group of riders inspired to join the ride this year. Okay, Bass, over to the next slide. So here's what we're going to walk you through tonight in our new rider orientation session. If we're not covering something, make sure in the chat you post your questions, because we're going to have some time at the end for hopefully answer all the questions. And again, don't ever hesitate to reach out to our ride team if you have any questions about, whether it's fundraising or riding, training. Don't hesitate to reach out. Next slide there, Bass. Why we ride. We know through speaking with and interacting with and doing our post-event surveys that a high majority of the riders participating in the ride are here because they have a connection back to cancer. So someone in their world, whether it's themselves, whether it's a family member, a good friend, a colleague, everybody for the most part has been touched by cancer. And it's a high percentage, like 80% of the people who participate are touched by this horrible disease. And that's why we're doing this bike ride. It's the connection back to cancer. The Princess Margaret is one of the top 5 comprehensive cancer research centers in the world. And I don't know if Bass, if there's some more, there we go. We've got some more pictures and graphics coming up. I'm going to just hang on this slide for a quick second, but the key takeaway here is that we're more than just a cancer center that happens to be located in Toronto. This is about world-leading cancer research that benefits people in Toronto, across the province, and across the country and around the world. The research here, it's not a secret. When we discover something, we share it far and wide. It's like open source code, so that other scientists around the world could literally riff off of what we're developing, and we can riff off of their development, so that we can ensure that patients who are diagnosed with cancer in the future have better outcomes. One thing I wanted to share with you is I heard our head of the cancer program at Princess Margaret say this last year. So that's Dr. Keith Stewart. And Keith says that we want to get rid of chemotherapy within 15 years. We're going to hopefully look back on chemotherapy and say, man, how were we so barbaric with the way we treated cancer patients? Kind of like if you're familiar with a radical mastectomy that some women had to go through 100 years ago when they were diagnosed with breast cancer. And the radical mastectomy would literally defigure the woman's entire body just to try to get rid of maybe a lump in the breast. We know much more now than we did back then. And going forward, we think that we can get rid of chemotherapy and use things like immune therapy and RNA medicines to help use your own body to fight cancer, as opposed to using these harmful chemicals that does kill the cancer in some cases, but also kills a lot in your body. We see the questions already coming in about shirts and stuff like that. We'll get to those questions in just a little bit, but Bass, if you wanted to go to the next slide. And I think this is where I hand it over to my colleague, Noor. And as I said before, Noor is the manager on the ride. She deals a lot with the team captains on a regular basis. So Noor, over to you. And
Hi,
did we lose?
everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking time to be with us to learn what did you sign up for. I see in the chat that a lot of you are returning riders, whether you've done 1 year or 2 years. Some of you have already registered and are brand new. Some of you may be considering registering for the first time. So for the most part, everyone here knows what you're talking about. However, I'd like to start by reminding you that this is a ride, not a race. There will be a lot of sweat of your incredible commitment, but there will be also lots of laughs. Because it's a ride and not a race, we welcome all kinds of bikes, as you can see on your screen right now. Not just road bikes are welcome. We welcome hybrid bikes, e-bikes, recumbent bikes, like you can see the gentleman lying down, and for the bravest souls, tandem bikes. These bikes can take you on some of our awesome routes. And so now I'll review some of those route options with you. While you may have already registered before, you can always change this up until about a month before the ride. So our most popular route is the classic route, spanning 200 kilometers or more with a minimum fundraising of $2,500, where you can either start in Toronto or in Niagara and loop back around. If you are in for a bigger challenge, then you can join us for the Hammer Ride. This is a larger challenge in terms of both distance and fundraising, where you would ride over 260 kilometers and fundraise $4,000 minimum. If you sign up for this option, then you would be able to sport one of our Hammer vests that are exclusive for this route. There is also a brand new option that we have for you that we're super excited to announce to you tonight, which is the Classic Express. It is an option for you to have all the glory and half the work. So the fundraising minimum is still $2,500. However, you would ride from Toronto, where you can experience the electric feeling of the start line and hear Steve say, "Ready, set, ride." And then you can ride to the lunch stop, where you will then be shuttled to camp, and your bike will be taken to the day 2 lunch stop. You will enjoy all the amenities of camp that we'll talk about a little bit later. And then on day 2, you will meet your bike at the lunch 2 day stop and ride across the finish line. That is in case you are thinking about the ride but can't commit to the entire distance. Then we have other options like the 1 day ride, where you can still experience the atmosphere at the start line and see everything at camp, but we will say goodbye to you after day 1, and you will be able to go home at that point. Alternatively, you can always do your own ride, which is something that we introduced during the pandemic and we still have. You can ride with us from wherever, whenever you want, just to be part of the ride community like we have now. And there is no fundraising minimum for this route. However, if you want to sport one of our jerseys, which you'll see some models modeling later on today, then you will fundraise a minimum of $1,500 to get this jersey. And if you're want to recruit more people to join the ride, you can share these routes with them. And always you can volunteer for day 2 if you choose to ride on day 1 or do the virtual ride. Now let's dig deep into what you can actually expect on the weekend itself. So I will walk you through a little bit of what you can imagine your weekend to be like if you've never seen it, mostly through the lens of the classic route, which is the 2 day from Toronto to Niagara. However, keep in mind that you have multiple options. So on day 1, you will experience the epic cycling adventure starting in Toronto, where everyone gathers in the morning, and then you can check your belongings in, then enjoy some breakfast, coffee, some inspirational words from our colleagues at Princess Margaret and incredible survivors. Then on day 2, you can experience, can we go back to the slide before, to the classic day 1 slide? Perfect. You can see here that you can expect a pit stop every 25 kilometers or so that you can take a breather, use the washroom, grab a bite to eat, and have some water. You can relax as long as you want before making your way to camp. We have lots of sweet vehicles available, bike techs, and in case you had an emergency, we also have medical support for you. And so when you do arrive at camp, that is where it's absolutely my favorite part. Camp is located on the campus of McMaster University in Hamilton. The space is always buzzing with electricity. It is a place for you to celebrate, recharge with your fellow riders after a fun day that you've had out on the road. There, you'll be met with catered food, cold drinks, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and many amenities like washrooms, showers, bike storage, and of course, your luggage that you're going to need. We encourage you to invite your friends and family to join you and soak in some of the fun that we have there. On the next slide, I have lots of other pictures of what you can expect at camp. There will be live entertainment, including Steve himself, and massage therapists, which is incredible. And then you will also hear from really motivational and inspirational speakers. If you've never seen this before, get ready to laugh, get ready to cry. It's a great time. When you're ready to wind down for day 2, we offer tents, and there is also the option to purchase dorm rooms, which my colleagues will talk about later. If you've opted for day 1, this is where you would leave us, and then we would head on day 2 to Niagara. On day 2, you'll wake up bright and early after a hot breakfast and a coffee, and then there you will start pedaling off to Niagara, where we will offer very similar amenities as to day 1 with lunch stops, route assistance, pit stops, and then when you arrive in Niagara, you could almost feel the mist of the falls on your face as you cross the finish line. It is a truly rewarding finish line experience after an awesome weekend of cycling. At Niagara, which is the finish line, you can hear your loved ones cheering you on, and us will also be cheering you on. And then you can regroup with your friends and family, your luggage, super important. And that incredibly powerful feeling can really radiate and stick with you for months to come. In Niagara, you'll also have access to washrooms, lunch, drinks. We have limited showers, and then you're welcome to ride back with us on a coach bus to Toronto, or you can ride home with your loved ones at that point. Now that you have an overview of what you can expect, let's talk a little bit more about how to get you ready for this weekend. So we have a few tips that we would love to share with you. But we definitely don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of information tonight. So rest assured that we will communicate these details out as needed, but we just want you to really get an understanding of how you can get ready for the big weekend. Firstly, maybe you can drop a bike emoji or your favorite emoji in the comment section of where you're watching if you've ever logged into the participant center before or know what that is. And I'll take a moment to check that out. The participant center is what is shown on the screen right now. It is the back end view of what the donors that you have will be able to see. So if you've been in there, if you've never been there, this is a glimpse of what you can expect. This center, you can also customize your email templates. You can manage your team if you're a captain. You can also change your route if anything I mentioned really hit a chord. And then there's also lots of other exciting functions that our ride guides can support you with if you have any questions, and their contact information is on the screen right now. Updating your personal page is really important, which is why we're taking the time to talk about it. I know Steve himself has had lots of success by simply updating his page and sharing it to his social media with only a few words, and you can get all the relevant details there. Another person who has had lots of success with updating her page is Olivia McNamara, and I'll take a few minutes to tell you about her. Olivia will be riding with her dad for the very first time, as she has just turned 16. Her dad is a 9-year rider. Olivia was diagnosed with cancer when she was at the tender age of 3. Doctors and nurses found masses in many parts of her little body, and she was given less than a 20% chance of survival. After 15 rigorous months of grueling chemo, surgeries, transplants, radiation, she beat all of those odds, and she stood before me last week flaunting her bravery beads that you can see in the bottom corner. These beads are given to children who go through treatment for cancer. Olivia shared her story on her personal page and is already beating her 9-year veteran fundraiser dad at Fundraising. So don't be afraid to share your story like Olivia, or ask for permission of your loved ones to share why they have inspired you to ride. There are also lots of other practical ways that you can get ready for the weekend, including fundraising, training, nutrition, booking your accommodations, and so much more. So now I'll pass it off to my team, who will dive into a lot of those areas.
Great. Thank you so much, Noor. Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa, and I'm here to share with you the accommodations that are available to you on Ride Weekend. So starting with sleeping arrangements in Hamilton, as Nora had mentioned previously, you may be asking, where do we sleep when we arrive at camp? Not to worry, we have a great few options for you. We have lovely camping style tents, as you can see in the photo here, available for every rider, free of charge, and they're provided by our amazing partners that we work with. If you want to select this option, you'll indicate this during online check-in, which we'll also speak about more in later on. We also have opportunities to book dorm rooms at McMaster University. If you've booked already, you'll receive an email from McMaster during the week leading up to Ride Weekend that contains important information about your booking. If you want to book a multi-occupancy room for you and perhaps another rider or family member, one person will book the room online, and then your roommate can reimburse you at a later time for the portion of their cost. Full booking details will be available on our website on the event details page at the end of February. And then some alternative accommodations in Hamilton that you can take advantage of includes one of the hotels nearby that are in Hamilton that you can stay at for the night, or you can head home to your own bed if you're close by. Just be sure to be back on time on Sunday morning to start day 2. And then lastly, for the Friday evening, if you're coming from out of town and you're starting your ride in Toronto, we have a discounted group rate available at a hotel that's nearby the start line at Exhibition Place. So details will about the booking will come in the coming weeks. And also on the same Friday evening, we will also have a Niagara hotel for accommodations that are intended for riders who are wanting to start their ride in Niagara Falls, but they're coming from out of town as well. So now I'm going to pass it on to my colleague Beth, who will talk about some tips for training and nutrition.
Thanks, Alyssa. I really appreciate it. Obviously, 2 very important elements to set you up for a safe and enjoyable ride experience. So maybe diving a little bit deeper into the training resources that we provide to you. Strava is definitely one of them. Connecting to Strava to find the routes in your area is a great app to kind of do that with. But it's also a great app to track activity and to learn more about our events and training ride routes. You can get connected to our Ride Strava Club to kind of get to know more about those events that are taking place. But keep in mind, Strava is not something that is mandatory that you have to join. It's just a good resource for logging the activity and all your training and to be able to see your stats, right? Linking those, the actual Strava profile, you could actually link it to your fundraising page. So you can show it to your donors or potential donors, all the training progress that you've made. We also have training rides to prep you for the event. And our first virtual training ride is actually happening this Saturday on World Cancer Day. And it's happening at 9 a.m. Anyone can join, whether you have Swift or not. You can actually just join virtually. You can join from your couch. You don't even need a bike to join. So a great way to kind of get engaged and get to know the latest ins and outs of the ride. We also have some spring training rides. Those are to really get you ready and get you in your seat for the event itself. And those are happening on April 29th. We also have a rain date on Sunday in case of inclement weather. And then there's another big training ride that is going to be happening right before the event on Saturday, May 13th. There's no rain date for that because I think we won't be making mothers happy in our life because it's on the Sunday is the Mother's Day. So decided it's Saturday, rain or shine. Next slide. Let's talk about training tips. Let's get you ready for this ride, right? We want to make sure you feel prepared going into it. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways that you can get ready for the ride. My personal tips is if you're not familiar with riding in a group, That's definitely one way to kind of get familiar with it by starting with a local group ride and riding with your friends or family members to kind of get a feel of what that is like, right? The ride itself is obviously not a race, it's a ride, so you can take it easy. We really have all types of people join our event every year, from Bill Wall, who we'll touch on a little bit later on, to, I remember one of the first years when I joined, I heard of Steam Whistle doing it on a tricycle with a keg on the back. Now, they only drank the keg when they got to camp, so don't worry. But hey, that shows, right? This ride is possible. Whatever bike you have, you're able to jump on that bike, but training will come in handy for you to have an enjoyable ride. So my golden tip is the more seat time will help. The more you ride, the less your butt will hurt. So build up those sitting bones is a great way to do that. But another couple of resources that we have for you in order to get you ready is a sample training ride schedule that you can kind of stick to for the next 6 months. Now, you don't have to stick to it. It's kind of like a reference. It serves merely as a guideline. Keeping active is what is going to be most important in any way possible. So if you stick to running, make sure you keep up with those runs and make sure you stay active throughout the entire 6 months leading up to the actual event. That is a sample training plan. Feel free to take photos of it. We'll also have this YouTube presentation available for you after to be able to rewatch. Next up, another way that we're going to be supporting you throughout the ride is obviously making sure that you have a safe and an enjoyable ride. So how do we really do that? Now, we have a lot of obviously support along the way. We have police guidance at major intersections. The first 15 kilometers of the actual route is closed, because as you can tell, maybe from the photos that we showed earlier at the exhibition place, it is masses of cyclists that are starting all at once. So we close down the route to allow you enough space to be able to move around freely and to catch up with your group of riding friends. Now we have support vehicles along the way. So those are going to be supporting you if you have any mechanical breakdowns, or if you are simply just exhausted or need a ride, lift to the next pit stop station. We also have buses that can take you ride to camp if you feel like, hey, this is the end of my ride. But now with the Classic Express, it actually allows you to even just do half the ride and call it a day. So great options for you, great things to keep you safe on your bike ride, and to make sure that you feel well supported throughout the entire experience. Another thing that we have is obviously Bike Tech out there. Those are bike mechanics that are going to be helping you with those mechanical breakdowns in case a sweep vehicle is not available. And a couple extra things that are on this slide here is making sure that you obviously have your wristband on just in case of any medical emergencies. You have a number on there that you can call. If you have any breakdowns, you can actually call that number as well to call up on a sweep vehicle to pick you up. Make sure you always wear your helmet. That's very important. It can save your life, and definitely ask for help when needed. Not just from event staff, not just from volunteers. There's obviously also other riders out there that are going to be supporting you throughout this ride. So next up, nutrition. Having the right nutrition is obviously key. And we have a couple suggestions here, a couple guidelines to kind of help you create your own nutrition schedule. We're also hoping to have an actual schedule for you that you could kind of stick to leading up to the ride. We'll have that available. Now, these are just some general guidelines to kind of keep in mind, top of mind as you're planning your nutrition plan. My personal golden tip is have a good low carb load on the Friday, and stick to the foods that you know. Just like how you're preparing for a marathon, make sure you stick to the foods that you know, so that you know what you're putting in your body the day before a ride like this. And make sure that on a hot weekend that you stay hydrated, obviously, all the way throughout. We provide you with hydration at every pit stop, every 25 kilometers. There's going to be water. There's going to be an electrolyte drink there ready for you. We have a multitude of snacks available for you throughout the ride. But if you wanted to pack your own snacks, definitely you're able to do so. Yeah, so that's a little bit more about nutrition. I think I'm going to pass it over to Sid to talk about how to achieve fundraising success. Sid, over to you.
Hey guys, thanks so much. My name's Sydney. I'm one of the ride guides over at the Princess Margaret. We're going to go into now talking about fundraising and how you can be successful in that. You guys now got an overview of how the ride works, what you'll be doing, but how are we going to be raising this money that's going to such critical research? So to begin, a couple of general points I'll go over on this slide. The next two, I'll get more specific about what we actually offer you guys with regards to resources and support. So number one, and most importantly, is we tell everyone to be epic. What you guys are doing is super important and courageous, and that is very, people will be attracted to that, and they will also want to be courageous, and they'll take your actions and be willing to donate to you. So always remember to be confident and be epic. Contact everyone you know. If you have had a time where you wanted to reach out to someone but haven't really known how, this is a great way to start that conversation. Send them your donation page. It's a great way just to start a conversation with someone, tell them what you're doing, and you'll be probably happy with the returns. Expand your giving circle. So we tell everyone to reach out to everyone you know, but also ask them to share their donation page with people that they know. You know, if you send it to your mom, ask if she can send it to your aunt. And if you send it to your friends, ask your friends to send it to their parents, you know, so just so it gets circulated around more and more people. We have our most important or most popular way to receive donations is through your donation pages, but that's not the only way that people are able to donate. So always remember, you are able to send in checks. Information about how to do that properly is on our website with an offline donation form. And another way to donate is also through stock or gifts of securities. So again, there's more information on our website about how to do that. The ride guides are happy to help with whatever you might have, whatever questions you may have on that topic. And utilize social media. So get social. Everyone has got lots of different social media platforms and accounts. Be sure to utilize all of them. I'll talk a bit later about Facebook fundraising, but don't forget, you can always post something on LinkedIn. You can post your link on Instagram. Utilize all the accounts that you have. So if we go on to the next slide, we'll move on to fundraising support. So there's a couple different options that we'll go over. The first one would be matching programs. These are ride-funded programs where you can actually double your impact. It's super important to check with your boss or your HR department if your company has some sort of matching program. You can actually even go onto the Ride to Conquer's website and search up your company to see if that's something that they do. On this note, I would really encourage you guys to stick around until the end of this presentation because we have an exciting announcement with regards to this topic. Refer and Raise. So we're actually running a program right now called Refer, Ride, and Raise. And so if you refer someone, make sure you give them your referral code. You can find that on your participant center. And when that person you referred registers for the ride, make sure they put in your referral code. And once they raise $150, both of you will receive fundraising credit of $50. So that's a great way to kickstart your fundraising. Workplace giving, similar to the matching, check in with your workplace, see if they have promotion or programs that are workplace giving. This works in the way that money can come off of your paycheck. It can be done automatically, either once or on a continuous cycle as you wish to put forward. Super great option to get your fundraising similar to a self-donation. And then also just incentives. The Princess Margaret runs various incentives throughout from our different sponsors. So be sure to always keep an eye out for these rewards on your email, on our website, as well as our social media accounts, just to see what different incentives and promotions are running at the time. On to the next slide, we have our fundraising resources. So a couple different places where you can go, as well as support that we offer to make sure that you guys are able to reach your goals. Nor mentioned the participant center. So that's a really great tool for tracking and communication with your donors. So we highly recommend that you guys go in there and utilize that as much as you can. To get there, you just go onto the Ride website, click login, put in your credentials, and you'll be in your account right away. We have a great social media toolkit. It's on the website. I'd highly recommend you guys go check that out. We have stickers that you can share on your social media posts. We have filters, we even have custom signatures that you can put in your email signatures, just so your donation page goes out whenever you send an email, like on the regular. And also super important to utilize hashtags. I believe the hashtag is on the bottom of the page here, but use Ride to Conquer, and that is 2 with the number 2. And that actually, if you have a public account, will boost your post out to more people. And the more people who see your donation page, the better your fundraising is going to be going. So would highly recommend using the hashtags as well. We do share a lot of fundraising tips and resources on the Ride to Conquer's social media itself. So if you check out our Instagram, it's a great resource in order to figure out how you can use all the different resources that we offer. So I would highly recommend go checking that out. On that note of social media, we also, you can also set up a Facebook fundraiser. So utilize all the people in the network that you have on Facebook. Super easy to go into Facebook and set up a fundraiser. You'll put in what you're doing, your amount, and then actually we'll be able to connect your Facebook fundraiser. We'll take the money of that and it'll go into your donation page. Facebook is one of those platforms that a lot of people are familiar with. People have a big outreach on there. So definitely check out how you make a Facebook fundraiser. And then again, the forms, similar to the offline donation forms I mentioned earlier, this is on that same note. You can send in checks as well as gift of stock. These can be donated to individuals and teams. But please note, we don't accept cash donations. We suggest if people ever do give you a cash donation, to keep that and donate in their name onto your account with your own cards. And we really, really recommend you guys lean on the ride guides. We're the team at the Princess Margaret who's happy to help with whatever questions you might have. If you want to update your donation page with some language about cancer research at the time, what the Princess Margaret is doing, or if you want to put some historical data of how much you've raised, your team has raised in the past in order to boost the narrative that you are putting on your donation page, reach out to us and we can help you with any of the information and getting all of that to set you up for the most fundraising success possible. With that being said, I'm going to pass it on to Ryan. He's going to talk a bit more about fundraising, but specifically our ambassador and polka dot jersey program.
Thanks so much, Sydney, and hi, everybody. As Steve mentioned, this is my second stint at the Princess Margaret working on the Ride to Conquer Cancer. I am thrilled to be here. We have a wonderful team here of supporters who support you, and I can't wait to meet many of you live on event. We have a number of programs. I'm going to highlight 2 here that recognize our top fundraisers. And for us, recognizing your achievements on event is priority 1. And so as much as every single dollar raised through the ride, whether you just meet the minimum or you'll jump on our leaderboard and see some have far surpassed the minimum, we know that it was a journey to get to that target, and we want to recognize those that go above and beyond. So one of the ways we do that is through our ambassador program. You can see these are actually 4 different colored patches here. On event, each one corresponds with a different level of giving and a different level of perhaps team recruitment as well. More information can be found on our website. I believe we're going to stick a link in the chat as well. The more you raise, the more you're recognized on event through this various program and the sequential order of bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. So as Sid's mentioned, we have a team of ride guides and a lot of resources and tools online to help you in your fundraising journey. I encourage you to have a look there. And who knows, we may see you on event day with a different colored patch recognizing your accomplishments. The second program we've got, we can flip the slide, Bass, is our polka dot jersey program. So here we have a gentleman named Bill Wall. I had the privilege of meeting Bill last week at a ride event. Bill is what I call a triple threat. Bill is going to have his 11th ride in 2023. So that's 1. 2 is Bill is 95 years old. And so he will be 95 when crossing the finish line in June with us. The third, and certainly not least, threat of Bill's triple threat is he's blind. So he rides on a tandem bike with support. But through that process, he's become an incredible ambassador for the ride and Princess Margaret. And he, of course, in this photo is sporting our polka dot jersey. The polka dot jersey is awarded to the first 10 fundraisers who raise a minimum of $15,000. So I will share 8 spots remain, but 2 have been achieved already. So for those that go above and beyond and cross that $15,000 threshold before event day, the first 10 will sport these jerseys on event. So if you see somebody wearing an ambassador jersey on event, polka dot jersey on event, please do reach out, say hello, give them a little pat on the back for their fundraising accomplishment and everything that they did to get to sport that jersey. With that, I'll pass it over back to Noor.
Thanks, Ryan. So now we're nearing the end of this orientation, which is one of our first events of 2023, but there are lots of other opportunities for us to get together and have fun before June. There are some that you can see on the screen right now. The most exciting one that's coming up this week is World Cancer Day, which is on February 4th. As Bass mentioned, we're honoring it by hosting a virtual ride. And a special announcement that you are the very first to hear is that we will be promoting World Cancer Day starting tomorrow morning with a match that is supported by the Nanji Family Foundation. They have donated $100,000, and every dollar that you fundraise starting tomorrow will be matched until that 100K runs out. You can get matched for up to $200 during this promotion. So if you haven't already registered, you want to register now so that you get our communications. And if you're already registered, stick to your inbox until you get that email that the match is a go. You are the very first people to hear that. So I hope I still have your attention with this exciting news as we keep going, because you're also the very first to hear about an upcoming all-female honorary chair team that we have this year. All of these honorary chairs have never participated in the ride before, and they have mixed levels of cycling abilities, from daily cyclists and a triathlon to zero cycling experience. So they will be hosting a female-oriented event that is coming up in the next few weeks. So tune into our emails to learn more about when that is in late February and early March. You will be able to learn about cancer prevention tips, riding tips, etc. And as Bass mentioned earlier, we will be hosting 2 spring training rides with lightly supported routes to kind of mimic what you can expect on ride weekend itself. And on the next slide, I have more information about some upcoming events. So one of them is mega orientation. It is very similar to the layout that we have here right now. However, we will talk in a lot more details about what you can expect on ride weekend. Even if you're a returning rider, there are minor details that always change year over year. You might be wondering, how do I get my luggage from Toronto to Hamilton? What jersey size do I need? What's a DSP? What's an OCI? You want to come out and check this out and stay tuned to your inbox to get an invite to that event. And the big one, online check-in. This is where you confirm your attendance. We know that life gets in the way, and so closer to event date, we want to know that you're still coming. What's your jersey size? Let us know if you want to change your route, etc. Throughout the year, there are lots more events, so we really encourage you to connect with us on social media, talk to your ride guides, and check out the emails that we send, because we would love for you to join us at all of these events. But now I see that the chats have lots of questions in them, and we've also had questions from the RSVP forms that you would have submitted. So hop into your chat right now on whatever platform you're listening to, and let us know your questions. We'd be happy to answer them. We have a question already about long sleeve gray shirts that would have been offered during the re-registration phase during online check-in. And so you can email your ride guides to get more information about that. I also see another question that I will give to Alyssa about any tips or guidance on starting a team at your workplace. Alyssa, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Noor. So certainly starting a team at your workplace, absolutely. We recommend that you get a few interested riders together, get them registered quickly, and then connect with someone in a leadership position or of influence at your workplace. So this could be your boss, a VP, or someone from HR, and connect with them to get the community atmosphere and team built. It'll reach a wider audience, and you can open up your team to your spouses, colleagues, clients, and we also offer a custom orientation with the ride team, where we go into a lot more detail about these specifics and tailor it towards your workplace. So you can reach out to us to set one of those up. Back to you, Nora.
Thanks, Alyssa. Another question that we have is about, do I have to pay any amount that I can't fundraise out of my pocket? And I'll have Alyssa answer that for us once again. I did hint at that, but you're just way ahead of the game here.
Yes, this is a good question. Certainly, so we have what during online parking that Noor had mentioned earlier, that will be taking place in May. You can process what's called a deferred self-pledge, or we call it DSP, which gives you 60 days to continue fundraising and reach your fundraising target. After the 60 days, you will be required to cover the difference that that's still outstanding. So the DSP requires a credit card that will hold on file and process after that 60 days.
Thank you, Alyssa. And Bas, can you tell us about someone who is interested in avoiding the big crowds at the Toronto start line? How does it work when they start in Niagara Falls? Is there anything different?
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion for anyone that is maybe not as comfortable starting in larger crowds or is a little more inexperienced with riding in larger crowds, is start your ride in Niagara Falls, and you'll be maybe with a group of a couple hundred riders instead of a couple thousand riders. So it really provides you with a lot more space and a lot more quietness on the road, which is helpful if you feel like you may feel a little inexperienced with riding in larger groups. So my suggestion is definitely start your ride in Niagara Falls. We provide shuttle transportation on the Friday before to Niagara, so that you could really have a good sleep that Friday night before you start your ride the next morning in Niagara.
Thank you, Bas. I see a lot of questions about accommodations, so it looks like people are interested in the tents. If you are planning on staying in a tent, we do recommend that you bring your sleeping bag with you, and there will be a tent registration option closer to event date. If you do decide to book a dorm room, then you don't need to bring anything other than your PJs. There are towels, there are linens, and pillows as well. I see a question that maybe Bas can answer again. Are there bike routes that they can learn about, and where can they ride to train?
Yeah, great question. Usually what I would recommend is join us on a training ride, so we can kind of show you what routes we kind of recommend, and it also kind of simulate, it's kind of like a simulator for the big ride. Shows you what the actual ride will feel like, right? Like Nora, what you touched on is it's a mini Ride to Conquer Cancer event. So I'd say you can also use obviously Strava, an app like Strava. You can do some heat mapping in your area to see which routes have been cycled on the most in your area, And that way you could plan or create your own routes. Strava also provides suggested routes in your area. But if you really want the best experience, I'd say join us on one of the training rides and we can kind of show you the best routes.
Awesome. Thank you. And now to help us wrap up, I will pass it off to Steve with a few words.
Sorry, I just needed to do that unmute thing. So thank you, Noor, and thanks to our team for putting on a really inspirational and educational overview of the Ride to Conquer Cancer. I saw there was a bunch of questions that we answered both in the chats and again, like I said at the beginning, if you have any questions at all, we have a team of people here to support you. So don't ever hesitate to email us or call us, or coming in a couple of weeks, we're going to have live chat on our website. So you can also chat online in real time with one of the EPCs or event participant coordinators. So now we are going to finish off by showing our 2023 ride orientation video, which if you haven't seen it, you've got to check it out. I've watched it about, 100 times. And every single time I watch it, it helps inspire me to do what we do every single day. Not that we need any more inspiration because of how devastating this disease is, but it's getting better and better because of events like this. I wanted to share with you a comment after the very first ride back in 2008 that we received from a guy who did our ride. He was not a bike rider, but he was inspired to do our ride because of what it meant for him. So he trained for this ride. I remember he was on Team Swiss Chalet, which was one of our sponsors in the early years of the ride. And he finished and he sent me this email and he said, Steve, even though my cancer treatment was done at another hospital in Mississauga, he said, my mind was healed as I crossed the finish line on Sunday. And that email had stuck with me to this very day, how powerful it was and what a powerful healing event this can be for people in so many different ways, whether that's because you're a cancer survivor and this is your statement event coming back, doing something big and epic, whether you're riding in memory of someone, whether you're riding with somebody and supporting them. There's so many reasons why people ride. So keep that in your mind as you fundraise, as you train. And please enjoy the video. And thanks again for spending this past hour with our ride team. And I'm looking forward to meeting you at some of the upcoming events. Or if not, then on the June, is it 10th, 11th? I always get the dates mixed up. The June 10th, 11th weekend this coming summer. Thanks, everyone. And we will roll the video now.
Your mind is racing. You can spiral out of control.
You experience every negative feeling.
It felt like somebody punched me in the stomach, knocked me out. My name's Bernadette Misk, and I'm from Niagara Falls, Ontario.
I'm Bernadette's husband, Joe, and from Niagara Falls as well.
Julianne had a very, very high tolerance for pain. She came into my room complaining about a toothache. Long story short, did a biopsy, came back with a diagnosis of osteosarcoma, bone cancer. That little girl riding without a fibula in her leg after going through surgery and grueling chemotherapy.
She was so determined. As hard as it has been, we realized that she was a gift. And sorry, we're grateful for that. We're going to be riding in Julianne's honor.
My name is Robin Goldman, and I am from Ajax, Ontario. I don't think anyone's ever ready to be told that they have cancer. I felt like my life was ripped out from under me. After that moment, I haven't once thought that I'm gonna die. Not once. But when you don't know, you have no idea. All you know is cancer's scary. You just figure out how to keep going.
Venki Srinivasan, Mississauga, Ontario. Cancer still got a scary tone to it. Whoever you are, however strong you may be, when somebody says you have cancer, you have no idea whether you're going to come out alive on the other side or not, whether you're going to be there for your next son's birthday or not. December 6, 2015. It was a surreal moment for me and my wife. We were sitting and talking to the oncologist. You're waiting to hear those words, and he didn't quite say it until, we had to say, does that mean I'm in remission? And then he said, yeah, you are officially in remission as of today. Doing this ride for cancer, it's very near and dear to my heart because I know that the money is going towards research, and Princess Margaret has been leading the charge. I wouldn't be alive today talking to you if there was no research.
I may be the one in treatment, but we're all impacted. We as a whole, collectively, and that's why we ride. The energy at the Ride to Conquer Cancer, especially at the beginning, it's an experience you didn't know you needed.
I would say it's a roller coaster of emotions during the start.
You look and you have like 4,500 people behind you, all for that purpose.
You have so much adrenaline.
That gun goes off, you're like, yeah, let's do this.
When you have the opportunity to ride with those thousands of riders and those hundreds of cancer flags, all the supporters, volunteers, it touches you in a way that you can't imagine.
It's like the entire city or cities come together for this ride. The cancer journey, it's tough. There are days when you have nothing left in the tank. You just have to tell yourself, just keep going.
Just show up for yourself and the rider beside you. And you may not know that person. And going through treatment, you may not know that person beside you in the waiting room who's getting an infusion. There's somebody behind you, beside you, to pick you up when you need that.
All of a sudden, there's this sea of people just lined up,
cheering you on, and they see you coming, and you're like, yes!
Crossing the finish line, it's everything.
You're never ready for that emotion.
The sense of pride that comes with it, shared with thousands of other people.
I wrote this letter to me who had just heard that I have cancer.
You may not see it now, but you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Julianne, your dad and I love and miss you beyond words.
Everyone you know will rally for you to win this battle. You'll need all the help that you can get.
You showed up for yourself. I'm so proud of you, Rob.
Your dad and I will continue to do the Ride to Conquer Cancer in your name and raise much needed funds for research and pray that a cure is found for this horrible disease.
Enjoy the ride.